welcome to another week and another project. This project we are going to be making book bags. I've decided to class this as two projects because in the end there was about 30 book bags made, and using all that time and fabric I thought it deserved to be at least two projects worth. So the fabrics that we picked out from our collection were cotton canvases. They are just a little bit heavier. By using cotton canvas, we are giving some strength and stability to the bag, which is really important as these will be used as book bags for kids to take to school. So we're getting two bags out of a 150 wide fabric and
a metre length.
Yeah, by a metre, basically. A metre from 150 fabric is getting us two bags. So the first thing we were doing is straightening the fabric and then cutting it at 52 centimetres. I know confident cutters can do this all in one. I don't have the confidence or the strength to do it.
It's 92.
You're quite right. 92 centimetres, sorry.
You better check your measurement, make sure.
No, it's definitely 92. Scrap bits we're putting to the side because we are probably going to make some pencil cases out of those. So once we've cut 92 centimetres, we're going to open up the lengthways. Don't want to end up with it in the cup of tea. Cut off the selvage, and then this way we'll cut it 105.
In your heading, you'll need to write down that this is a 16 by 14 book bag that you're making, so that they know what size you're actually making.
And roughly end up with?
Hey? What you end up with, yeah. 16 by 14 book bag.
I love it. I'm going to have to write down both in centimetres and probably inches. Because...
Oh, you want me to figure that out in centimetres?
No. I don't need you to figure that out right now. That's fine.
Yeah, Mum's old school and does inches. Tina's metric. Mum's right-handed, Tina's left-handed.
Yeah, which is really hilarious in our family because my dad's a builder and so obviously he uses millimetres, and he goes crazy at the fact that dressmakers are the only ones that use centimetres. So
and quilters use inches.
And quilters use inches. Quilters and paper crafters. So in our house it's usually the question after giving a measurement is usually, and what did you measure that in? And then just to be a real pain, sometimes I tell Dad meters. Because it's just too many numbers when you're trying to do millimetres to metres. It's just too many numbers and I get tongue-tied. Alright.
You're taking off the selvage.
So first we're going to take off the selvage. And then we're going to measure 105 this way. So space is always a bit of a challenge in this house.
And you know you got it folded the right way because you can't do 105 when it's folded the wrong way.
So what we're currently doing is cutting out two bags at the same time. Just seems to be the most economical way to get it out. Oh, I need to move the ruler down a little bit more. after we've cut our 105, you'll have a piece of panel here which will be used for the straps. So we're going to put that to one side. And then we're going to open this fabric back up again and fold it in half the other way and cut this in half.
So that's your original 92, isn't it? And
yeah.
length.
So we have 92 across here, so we're going to cut it in half, which makes it 46. This is a bit of give and take. It doesn't have to be exact. It's not buckets. It's a little bit of bucket science with this. You know, they are at the end of the day book bags. But you know how it is. You like to end up being a bit of a perfectionist, even though you know it's just a book bag that's going to be thrashed, used and abused.
So Tina, why are we making so many book bags?
Because Mum had this crazy idea that we should make them for one of the Christmas appeals that our church does. And they go into shoebox sized parcels for Christmas for kids that don't have a lot, which is great. But also, and we had planned on making these fabrics into book bags. It's just we might go crazy by the time we've actually made them all, because we've already done what, 8?
Yeah.
And then we've got enough fabric behind us to easily do probably another 12 to 15.
Yeah, we'll count at the end.
Yeah. So yeah. So we will probably go a bit crazy at the end of it all, but you know, that's life.
Yeah, they go miles.
Wow.
All to the third world countries where kids don't get books and bags and pencils and rubbers and stuff for education, you know.
Alright. So, if you are following along at home, when you open up your piece of fabric, you should have a strip that is 46 centimeters by 105. We will put this up in inches as well, because that way if you're working in inches you can do it too. And that's going to be the base, the main part of the bag. We're just going to, at this stage, flip them over here with a few of the others that we've cut. And then we're going to grab our piece that we put aside earlier and we're going to create the handles. But first, need a cup of tea.
Okay, it's called Samaritan's Purse Operation Christmas Child Shoebox. And they've all got to be filled by the 17th of October, and then they get distributed. So the other way you can help if you're not a crafter is you can actually donate money to help go towards what it costs to ship them.
So we will definitely put that link in the description, as well as a bit of information on them for anybody who does want to help out. They do run this every year. It's probably the second year that we've helped out with it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And it is good because it gets you into starting to think about Christmassy things early, because, I don't know, I like to do Christmas things early because I otherwise run out of time. But anyway, so back to the straps. We're going to open this up again long ways, because we don't need this full length for the strap, so we're going to trim some here so that we can still have a usable piece of scrap. So our straps are 65 centimeters, which actually I think I'm pretty close to. Yeah. And then it's by 10 centimeters. So our straps are 65 by 10, again in centimeters. So we'll just throw that to the side.
For making pencil cases or something like that with.
So I don't know if you heard that. So the idea with our scraps is that we're going to make some pencil cases. It is one of the other things that they like to have in the bags. Sorry, it's one of the other things they like to have in the box.
Shoebox.
They usually have a face cloth, a toy.
Yeah. Hairbrushes.
Yeah.
Sunglasses.
Mum was just saying hairbrushes and sunglasses. So lots of little things that most Australian kids, I guess, would take advantage, like that they don't realise that kids just don't have these things.
See, you can do t-shirts and socks, some underwear, some school supply, some sunglasses, some hair.
So basically a few essentials and then basic luxury items.
Yeah, toys.
Like a toy, sunglasses, things that would probably...
I think they put the sunglasses in the older girls' packs rather than a doll, or a teddy bear. It's because they've got age group, the boxes are done in different age groups. They've got from 3 to 4s, 5 to 9s and 10 to 11s. So the 10 to 11s have probably got sunglasses and things like that instead of a toy.
Yeah. Just come a little bit closer to the scene. I don't know if
But as well as sewing, there needs to be a donation because each one of these boxes costs $10 to ship.
It's actually not that bad.
No, it's not, considering it's going a long way.
Yeah, it just cost me $10 to send. Well, actually, it cost me $13 to send those dog jumpers away, and that's only going down to Brisbane.
Yeah, I think the airlines do I think the airlines
Bulk
pay.
deal or something.
No, they might pay a percentage of the freight as their donation, and but it works out $10 a box to
and I guess
get freighted.
When you are doing bigger amounts, you usually can do it as a big freight amount, so they probably can send it all at once all together, which probably helps.
Yeah, last year they ended up, I think it was like 3,000 boxes they got sent over last year.
Yeah, and the thing is that it seems like what we're doing is not that major, but when you put what we're doing along with what other people are doing, you can really make a big difference.
Big impact, yeah.
Like we've seen that with just in Australia recently with people,
Lismore and all them being flooded out.
People helping with the fires and stuff like that. That as an individual, you might have only been able to give, $10, or we were a little bit more fortunate that we could give a bit more. But all of that ended up with millions of dollars being able to help out families that had just lost everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's a bit what it's about. Okay, so that is 2 bags cut out.
So that's the scrap out of a metre.
So that is the unusable scrap that I've got, and that's about it. So we've got more to cut out though. We're going to have a cup of tea break, I think, and come back
and we will come back with some.
So after cutting out, you sew the two.
So the edges are sewn down each side. Then you take it to the ironing board. You iron across the bottom. Then fold the seams together so that you got your two seams together, and iron across there. You'll see it all automatically start folding in like that, see? When you start pulling it out. So you iron down here, then you make sure that your point is pulled right out. And you iron from there down to this point, from there down to that point, and again down these points. And the reason we do that is so that we can turn this into a boxed bottom. So at the moment I want my bag to be 3 inches wide. So I've gone 1.5 inches up and gone across there, and I'm going to overlock that. And once I've overlocked that on both sides, it'll make a square bottom.
Cool.
Okay? Now you can adjust that to whatever size width you're wanting it wide. So if you want your bag to be 5 inches wide, you would come up here 2.5 inches and then go straight across. But the more you come up and go across, the narrower the front of your bag is.
So the wider the side.
The wider the side, the narrower the front. But if you want to keep this same size front, but you want it to be wider, then you have to adjust that by how wide you initially make this part of the bag.
Okay. And just so people remember, this across the bag, that is what we did at 46 centimetres.
Yeah.
So that is our 46 centimetres. You can see that our fold is at the bottom. So we've this length here is our 105, but it's been folded in half. This length here is our 46, and we've just overlocked the sides.
Yeah, we're just going to do the
As Mum was
square off.
As my mum was saying, basically you can do this bag in any size. We're just doing it to the size of. Well, we're doing it to sizes of other tote bags we've got that we find really practical sizing. So all Mum is doing at the moment is just with a ruler and pen, just marking it so that she can go to the overlocker and it's easy to do.
And the reason it's easy with this is because my measuring this has a 45-degree angle. So I just line the straight here of the 16 on the straight of my sewing. So like this. And then I bring it down until it is 1.5 inches. And I pull it across so that now the 45-degree angle is on there. So to have this perfectly square, I've got this being straight and this 45-degree angle lining up with my ironing. So I know now that this is a perfectly square end.
Yeah. So for those who are quilters, you've probably already got
all of those stoves.
One of these kind of rulers and a rolly cutter and a mat. For those who are not, they are really great tools to have in your supplies.
Highly recommend.
Yeah, we use them all the time for all sorts of things, and highly recommend the ones that do have the angled lines on them as well, so that you can do things like making out hexagons and taking off corners of squares to make the bottoms of bags. So yeah, definitely a useful tool if you're wanting to do weedy heaties, bags, quilting, probably a ton of other items. Alright, so Mum's going to mark all of those up, and then once she's done that, I'm going to get back into some more cutting. We have got some directional fabrics coming up, so we're going to have to
jiggery-pokery.
Scientifically, mathematically figure out the best way to cut them out, because we're a little bit... we prefer to have the fabric running in the right direction. It annoys us, even if we're giving something away or it's just a temporary fix. It annoys us still if it's not done right.
You like to do it properly.
Yeah, we like to do it properly. And like we said, you know, you want to be proud of what you're doing, and if you do it properly, even if it's on something like a charity thing, then when you go to do your own ones, it's already muscle memory in your brain, ready to go. So...
have you got muscle memory in your brain?
Yeah, for being a blonde person, it takes a lot more time to get brain muscle memory.
Oh, being grey and old, muscle memory is a bit of a challenge. Some days the muscles are just got fatigued.
Yeah,
yep.
Definitely. Alright, so this is one of those pieces of fabric that we're going to have to cut out a little bit different, because as you can see, it's very directional. And we want our superheroes up the right way. Now, there is only enough out of this fabric to do one bag. We only have 65 centimetres. So our very first thing is going to be to take some of here for our straps.
and then we're going to cut out our 2 pieces for our bag. Now with this one, we are going to cut 2 pieces for our bag because it is easier in making the bag to have 2 definite seams on the side. So we'll end up with 2 seams on the side and a seam on the bottom because we want the fabric to run the right direction. Yes, this is just one of those times you just need to look at your fabric and figure out what is the best way to cut it out. Because again, you don't want to have lots of wasted scrap, but you don't want to get to it and then go, oh, look at that, I don't actually have enough fabric. So to avoid both issues, we're just thinking about it before we cut it out. And I'd like to think that I've done this often enough to be able to just think that way naturally, but you know, there are still days where I muck up and I get a bit bummed because you sit there and go, I only just bought enough fabric. But that's normally when I just go, okay, find something else to make out of it instead. Okay, so then that piece there can go into our non-use, use for something else. And then these 2 pieces, we are going to cut them at, we're going to go 54 centimetres. Alright guys, sorry about that. We did have an interruption with the doorbell, just our neighbour popping over to say hello. And then I had to go pick up my niece from school. So you could probably hear her video in the background because she's listening to YouTube in the other room. But we have cut out our pieces. So this time we've done 2 pieces of the fabric, 46 centimetres wide, and we've done them 54 centimetres high. And we will sew 1, 2 and 3 sides of it to make the bag. So, and from there it's pretty much the same. So basically the only real difference is that we will be sewing up this seam, and it's just so that when the bag's made and it can sit up this way, the handles can go here and the superheroes can be up the right way when you're carrying it. So most fabrics this might not be an issue for, but for the fabrics that it is, you know, you kind of want to do that so that it looks really nice, because I don't know, it would bother me if not. The other time that you would probably want to do that is when the fabric again has a direction one way. You might want to do that if your pattern on the other side of the fabric ends up upside down. That again is a personal option. Obviously one side of the bag is going to go to you, so it might not bother you, but if it does, this is just the way to fix that. Or if you don't have enough fabric of one piece, you could always put 2 different fabrics together this way as well. So just to gives you a few more options with only just one more step, and that's just overlocking the 2 bottom seams together. And then that's it for that one. We're going to keep cutting out a few more. So I have a couple that I need to cut out like that, and a few, well, a lot more to cut out. While I've been cutting out, my mum has gone along and overlocked the edge here to help create our square bottoms. And then now she's working on ironing down the straps. Now the straps, we do them 4 layers thick when they're actually finished. So the first thing she does is irons it in half and then irons them to the center. And then folds it again and irons it in half. So hopefully that made sense. Then from there, with each strap folded together in the center and ironed down, she will sew both sides of the strap, probably just on the inside of it, maybe a couple of mils on the inside of each one, and that will give us nice, strong, long straps. Mum reckons the ironing is probably the longest part of this project. It probably is because she's being very thorough with it. Is that a nice way to put it?
So it makes it easy when you're at the sewing machine.
But it does. It definitely makes it so much easier when you're at the machine.
I can't stand trying to do an inch fold and then another double inch fold without it already being pre-creased.
Yeah.
We've done that all 1 inch. Then the next fold we fold over again. Just give it a quick measure. It should measure up pretty quickly too. 1 inch. There's 1 inch there. 1 inch there. And 1 inch there. And then just press it down.
You can see how this is turning into a box on the bottom of the bag. And well, at the top of the bag, we've started folding over the hem. We are sewing the straps together. So we've got them folded in on themselves. We are going to sew down each side of the strap just to give it a little bit of strength and a little bit of top stitch decoration. So on my machine, I have my needle set to number 2, and I'm just going straight stitching. I am going to back stitch a little bit just out of habit. Me and my mum were discussing that we'd really love a machine that actually does that little din-din backy stitch for you when you just press the button. So, you know, future goals, eh, Ma?
Yeah.
Here we go. So as I'm sewing, I'm just making sure it's catching both layers, because there was a couple of times when I was doing the other ones where I didn't catch both layers and I had to go back over it. Then when that side's done, when I was doing all of them, I was just sort of like chaining them, so I was going one straight into the other. Because I'm just doing the last bag now, I will just turn it around as if I was doing one, just go down the other side again. And there we go. There we go, that's one strap done. We will do the same to the other. Actually, no I won't. I will re-thread my bobbin.
Last bag and you run out of bobbin.
Well, this is about the 3rd time we've probably redone the bobbin, so. So I really like the Alna bobbins because they've got a little hole here where you put your thread through and then you can hold it to start it. But the other great thing is they actually have Alna written on the way up that the bobbin goes. Because I learned to sew on front loading machines and now we have a top loading machine. And one you thread clockwise and the other one you thread anti-clockwise. And I still get confused after all these years, and so half the time I end up putting it in wrong and having to redo them. So this bobbin actually stops me from being able to, from doing it wrong, because it has its branding name on the top, which is just a really easy way for me to remember. So there we go. So I'm
out.
Alright. Also, I can't hand wind my needle down anymore because we've actually managed to damage something in the side of the machine. So we have to do it. Yeah, we really probably are at the stage where we need to consider getting a new one, but I'm not quite sure we are financially at the stage of getting a new one to what we want, because we wouldn't want a beginner sewing machine. Obviously, we'd probably want something that's maybe semi-industrial. In the meantime, we'll just keep going with the girl that we know, and until she really decides to throw it a big sad, and until we, you know, run out of spare parts from the other machine we've got exactly the same, we'll just keep going. Okay, and that is strap number 2. So, next thing we're going to do is measure up where the straps are going to go, and from the centre seam we are going to measure out 4.5 inches, as I said. So my mum did this part of the pattern, so she's done it in inches. For those who are following along in centimetres, you're going about 11.5 centimetres. Then do the same. Now this part, again, is not as exact. You just want to have the same measurement from your centre seam on both sides, so that it's even, because we're then going to flick it open and we're going to sew our handles onto this part. So our handle will be sewn on the inside, about halfway down the inch, but on the inside of the pin, and then it will also be done on this side here as well. So we're just going to tack this into place. Be mindful of not having a twist in your strap when you do this. I've had that happen a couple of times, and then I've had to unpick them. Yeah, so we're just going to, we don't need a back stitch or anything, we're just going to sew across it just to get it in place. Because we are going to sew them in properly in a moment. So just double checking that your strap's in right, and then go and do the other side. Right, so that would be the first step to putting out, just tacking our handles in. So we're going to set our machine back to number 2 to the right. Yeah. Sorry, my brain is starting to go because we've been doing this all day, and we were going to video earlier, but we ran out of battery already, so I thought, oh, I'll just do it later, and now my brain is going a bit crazy and I can't actually figure out what I'm doing. We tacked the handles down with our first fold of our top edge, but now to give us a nice clean top edge, we're going to do the second fold, and we are going to actually top stitch on that fold. So this top stitch will not catch the handles, but that's okay. We are going to secure them in when we do a bottom line here, and then when we also fold them up and secure them a second time. So it seems like a lot, but it is a really nice way to make them strong. Where you've got your big amounts of seams, just go a little bit slower with your sewing machine. They don't like going fast over huge amounts of seams. Then once you're over them, go for it. And this is why we spent so much extra time ironing, is because this is just simple. Like, I can just follow the ironing line. And then for the second round, we're going to move my needle to the left. We're going to do the same, but on the other edge. And this round will catch your straps, and I'm just going to tuck extra raw edges or frays or threads into this seam, because that way I've got less that I need to sort of trim and tidy up later. Okay, so that's your top and bottom seams done on there. And then our last step is going to be sewing, folding this over and top stitching this in. We're going to go forward and back and forward again just to give that nice strength there. And then that will be it, apart from tidying up our cottons. So I find the easiest way of doing this is just to fold it, lay it down on the side, just let it sort of settle in, and then just line up nice and slowly, just go across, pass the strap, and then go back again. Pass the strap, and then across. And there we go, we're going to do that to all 4 straps. So that's how it will look on the back and then on the front. So that's 1 down, 3 to go. And that is it for the sewing. Like I said, the only thing left to do is just putting in your threads. With the overlocking threads, we like to get a darning needle and thread them back in on themselves. With all the threads from the sewing machine, most of them are being backwards and forwards, so we're just going to trim those anyway. And that is one of the bags completed. So the main difference with these ones that I've been sewing up at the moment is that we've got the seam at the bottom of the bag, and they still do a really tidy wee square bottom. It just is a little bit fiddlier. Mum's in the back working on the last of them, which are 4 more black ones. We think in total we were almost at 30 bags that we've made, so we've done a pretty good effort. I think we've gone a little bit cray with the bags, but yeah, we're pretty proud of what we've managed to do.